Hey everyone, it's Kelly here from Craftandacuppa, and today I'm doing a requested tutorial. Now I've had quite a few people ask if I could work out the measurements for a kid's Hexi Cardi. So that's what we're going to do today, is the kids granny stitch hexagon cardigan. It's in sizes 1 to 12 and I've provided all the measurements. It's made to measure again, so you can use any yarn in your stash and any hook you want to go with that. It's absolutely up to you. You decide what you want to make it with. All of the measurements again are in the written description below the video. Now if you're on the computer, you should hopefully just see the description right there. If you are using a telephone a telephone I'm showing my age now, aren't I? Oh dear. If you're using a mobile, if you look at the bottom right under the video, there should be what looks like an upside down V. If you click on that, that will then bring up the description of the measurements and everything that I've wrote in there about the pattern. So you're going to need yarn, any yarn whatsoever. I've got some lovely Stylecraft Special DK, which I got from Love Crafts, and I do actually have a little link, and either if you're using a computer, it will be at the top right hand screen, I think, with a little eye. That will take us straight to Specialcraft Styles, I can't get my words out now, look, Stylecraft Special DK, and if you're on your phone, it will be in the written description. A hook, whatever hook you're using, it doesn't matter, because it's made to measure. I've gone for my trusty 5mm hook. Love using that with DK. Don't know why, but I just do. And you're going to need a pair of scissors, tapestry needle for weaving in those little pesky ends, a tape measure, that's essential because you're going to need to measure your garment as we're moving through the pattern. Now, I've got stitch markers out. I've got to be honest, I feel like we possibly don't need these, but I can't remember if we do or not. Now, if I don't include them, we'll probably get to a point in the pattern where I'll be like, oh, by the way, you need some stitch markers. Yeah, sorry I didn't mention that at the beginning. So we might not need these, but they're here just in case. Right then, I think that's everything. Shall we crack on with it? Yes, let's do it. Okay. So just a suggestion for when you're picking the size that you're making, if you happen to know or can measure your child's chest, I have provided a chest measurement for each size, because it goes 1 to 2, then it goes 2 to 3, 4 to 5, 6 to 7, 8 to 9, and so forth. So if your child's birthday, well, not birthday, but if they're like 7, you're like, oh, 6 to 7 or 8 to 9. Best to look at the chest measurement and pick the size that's closest to your child's chest measurement. Now I am making the 4 to 5. My daughter's 3, but she is 4 in August, so I thought I'd make a 4 to 5 because it will last her quite a while, won't it? Might be a little bit big because she is a little on the small side. Really, I should be making a 2 to 3. But I'm going to go with 4 to 5 because she's going to get plenty of wear out of it, and she loves all my crochet bits. All my daughters do. I've got 3, so I make 1. I have to make 3. But that's fine. That's fine. I love it that they want to wear it. So we're going to start by creating a slip knot and attaching that to our hook. And then we're going to chain 6. And then we're going to come back to our very first chain, and we're going to go through that, and we're going to do a slip stitch, which is going to create, I always call it a loop. It's more like a little circle really, but if you open it up, you can see there's a little hole in the middle. So we're going to be working directly into that hole in the center. So we're going to chain 3, which is going to class as your first double crochet. And then we're going to put 2 more double crochets back into that circle. And then we're going to chain 2. Now this is just like making a granny square, but we're making a hexagon. So instead of having 4 sides, it's going to have 6. So we're going to need 6 of these granny clusters, I'm going to call them, in this circle. 6 of the granny clusters and chain 2s to separate each one. So I've got 1 so far and a chain 2. Now I'm going to place another double crochet. I'm going to place 3 double crochets into the circle. And that's my second granny cluster. Then we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to place 3 more double crochets back into that circle. Chain 2, 3 more double crochets back into the circle. I always lose count of how many granny clusters I've got going on. So I'm going to do one more set of 3 double crochets. So I don't know if I added the chain 2 at the end of that. Let me just rewind a bit. Beep, 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 beep. I might have said it. I might not have done. After you've done your 3 double crochets, always make sure you chain 2 on this first round. Right, 3 double crochets back in to the circle. Chain 2. Right, now I'm going to count how many granny clusters I've got, which is your sets of 3 double crochets together. I need 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5. So I need to do 3 more double crochets and a chain 2, and round 1 is complete. So 3 double crochets back into this center. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to join to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round, and that is going to join the whole thing together, and that is round 1. Now I'm just going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to pull my center yarn tail nice and tight to bring it all in. Right, I'm going to stick with the same colour. If you want to change colour after every round, then you're going to fasten off here, and what you're going to do is turn your work so the wrong side of the stitches are facing you, because we're going to be turning our work after every single round, okay? And then you can go in any corner. It doesn't matter which one. Pick any corner to go in and join your new colour in with a slip stitch. But I'm going to keep with the same colour, so I'm going to show you what we do with that. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn our work, and we're going to place a slip stitch back into this gap here, chain 2s in it, straight back in with a slip stitch, and now we are ready to begin round 2. So we're going to chain 3, and we're going to place 2 more double crochets back into this same gap. Right, now we're going to skip over these 3 double crochets right here. We're not going to do any chains. We're just going to skip straight over and go straight into this next gap here, this chain space, with 3 double crochets. We're going to chain 2, and then we're going to place 3 more double crochets back in the same gap that you've just been in, and that is creating a corner. We're going to repeat that process again, skip over the next 3 double crochets and go straight into the next chain space here with 3 double crochets. Chain 2 and 3 double crochets back in that same gap. Again, repeating the same thing, skipping over the next 3 double crochets and going straight into the next chain space with 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets back in the same gap, skipping over the next 3 double crochets and placing 3 double crochets in the next chain space, chain 2, 3 double crochets back in that same chain space, again skipping over the next 3 double crochets and going into the next chain space gap with 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets back in that same gap, right, and we're now coming back to where we began. So we've got 3 double crochets, technically speaking, the chain 3 and the 2 double crochets right from the beginning in this gap already. We're going to go straight into this final gap, skipping over the last 3 doubles, straight into the final gap or chain space corner with 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then you're going to join it to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round with a slip stitch. Mine just came out. Let's do it again. There we go. And that is round 2. Now I'm going to change my colour, so I'm going to fasten off. But if you're still sticking with the same colour, remember what you do. You just turn your work first and then you slip stitch back into that same space, and then you're ready to start the round again. Okay, I'm going to undo mine though because I'm changing colour. So I'm going to fasten off. This pink is so bright. I hope it's coming out okay on the screen. It's so bright. Like so. Right, what I'm going to do now is I like to make both hexagons at the same time. If I'm changing colour, I just like to make both of them at the same time. So I'm going to make one of these again. And then if you're using scrap yarn, it's brilliant because you can look at your scrap yarn and think, yeah, I've got enough to go around both of my hexagons. And also it helps to keep both your hexagons the same height, because sometimes people can make one and then go to make the other one and it's different because your tension changes, doesn't it? So this tries to help keep it all a bit more uniformed. So I'm going to pause my video for a second. For you, it will literally be a split second and voila, I'll have 2 of them. If only it was that quick, hey? So I'll meet you back here in a second when I've got another one of these 2 rounds I've got, because I didn't change colour, did I? So yeah, I'll meet you back here in a second. Okay, so I've got my 2 hexagons started off. I'm now going to add my next colour. I'm doing things a bit differently this time. I usually start with my purple when I do a rainbow and work my way out. This time I thought I'd start with the pink. So I'm going to put one to one side. Now I'm changing colour. So my last round is currently facing me. I'm going to turn my work and go in any random corner. Let's get my new colour. Any corner. Make sure it is a corner and it's not a gap in the centre. It's got to be a corner, okay, where it goes out into the triangle shape. So any corner with a slip stitch. Right, then we're going to chain 3 and place 2 double crochets back into that same corner chain space. Okay, now we're going to skip the next 3 double crochets and we're going to go in this gap right in the centre and do 3 double crochets. Again, skipping over the next 3 double crochets and going in the corner chain space with 3 double crochets. Chain 2 and 3 double crochets back in the same corner chain space. Then we're going to skip the next 3 double crochets and go straight into the center gap with 3 double crochets. Skip the next 3 double crochets and go into the corner chain space with 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets back in that same corner. And then we're going to skip over the next 3 double crochets and go into this center gap again with 3 double crochets. Skip over the next 3 double crochets and go back into the center, it's the corner chain space with 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets back in that same corner. Skip over the next 3 double crochets and go back into the center with 3 double crochets. Skip over the next 3 double crochets and go into the corner chain space with 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets back into the same corner. Ooh, what am I doing? And then skip over the next 3 double crochets and go into the center gap with 3 double crochets. Nice and easy once you get the hang of it, and very repetitive. Skipping over the next 3 double crochets, going to go straight into this corner chain space with 3 double crochets. Chain 2 and another 3 double crochets back into that corner chain space. Then we're going to skip over the next 3 double crochets and go into the center gap with 3 double crochets, and that then brings us back to the beginning of the round. We're not going to join just yet to the top of the chain 3. We've still got to add the last 3 double crochets in the final corner chain space. So let's go back into this one. Oh, where are we? Chain 2, and now we can join it to the top of the chain 3 from the previous round. There we go. I'm changing colour again, but if you're sticking with the same colour, remember you just got to turn your work and slip stitch back into that corner chain space, and then you're ready for the next round. Just undo that again because I'm giving myself loads of ends and changing colours. Just snip this off. This is my tip that I say on most of my videos when I'm doing something in the round like this. You're going to need to pick a wrong side and a right side. The wrong side is going to be the inside of your garment. Okay, so if you're doing lots of ends and got lots of ends and colours like me, then I suggest you weave. Oh, where did I just go? Sorry. You weave your ends as you go, because if you're changing colour like me all the time, you're going to end up with loads of ends. So I suggest that you weave your ends as you go. And I also suggest this centre tail yarn right from the beginning. If you leave that, don't weave that one in, and then weave all your ends on this side only with the centre yarn tail, you can then make that the wrong side. All the ends will be weaved in on this side only, and that will be the inside of your garment. Because before, when I first used to make granny squares, I was weaving them as I went, and I started to lose track. What side was I weaving my ends in? I don't remember. Oh my goodness. And then you end up with ends poking out all over the place as the more you wear your garment. So we don't want that, do we? We want to weave them all on the same side, which will be the inside of your garment. So I'm now going to weave in this one here. I'm going to weave that one in, and that's done. And then when I've done my next round, I'm going to weave in these 2 orange yarn tails, but I'm going to keep this one here so I know that this is the wrong side of my garment. So I'm now going to add another orange to my second hexagon, and I'll meet you back here for round, what round will that be? 4, 3, 1, 2, 3, for round 4. See you soon. Right, I've now got round 1, 2, 3 done on both of my hexagons. I'm now going to put one to one side, and I'm going to change colour and add my next round. Going for some yellow. I'm going to turn my work like so. I'm going to go in any corner, doesn't matter which one, and join my new yarn with a slip stitch. Chain 3, and then place 2 more double crochets back into that same corner chain space. Oh, we're getting all tied up, look. Then we're going to skip over the next 3 double crochets and go straight into this gap here with 3 double crochets. Oh, what am I doing, that? Not off to a good start here. Skip over the next 3 double crochets and go in the next gap with 3 double crochets. Skip over the next 3, which then brings us into the next corner. So in that corner chain space, you're going to do 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets back in that same corner chain space, and that's created another corner. Now you're going to skip over the next 3 double crochets and go in the gap with 3 double crochets. Skip over the next 3 and go in the next gap with 3 double crochets. Nice and easy. And then I'm going to skip over these 3 double crochets, which then takes us to the corner chain space, where you'll do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets back in that same gap. I'm just going to keep repeating this all the way around. So skip these 3 double crochets and go in this gap with 3 double crochets. Again, skip the next 3 double crochets, go in the next gap with 3 double crochets. Go in, skip over the next 3 and go in the corner chain space with 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets back into that same corner chain space, which brings us to this other edge. Just keep skipping your 3 double crochets and going in the next gap with 3 double crochets. Skip over 3, 3 in the gap. Skip over 3, now I'm in the corner chain space, so I'm going to do 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets. Skip over the next 3 double crochets and then the next gap with 3 double crochets. I'm literally repeating myself over and over again, but hopefully you're learning the stitch pattern. Skipping 3, doing 3 in the next gap. Nice and easy. It is lovely and easy, as long as you make sure that you're going in every gap with 3 double crochets, but when you get to the corner, make sure you're doing 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets in that corner. That's the main thing I have to check when my rows start getting, when my rounds start getting longer. Once I get to the end of a side, I just go back and check. Yeah, I've got my corner. Yeah, I've done 3 in every gap. Sometimes it's easy just to do 2. you'll go back and you're like, oh, I've only done two. Oh, I've only done two in there. Ooh, do I have frog? Don't I frog? Are you a frogger? Or are you just like, yeah, that'll be all right? I'm a bit of both. Just depends, really, on how serious the issue is. If it's a missing double crochet, sometimes I'm a bit like, ooh, and it's a few rows down, I'm like, no. If I've been changing colour every round, I'm like, yeah, that's fine, that can stay that way. Right, I'm now at the final corner, which has already got 3 double crochets in. And so we're going to go into that final corner with 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then join it to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round. Nearly forgot what I was talking about. Oh, can't pull that out there. There we go. There's another round added. Now what I'm going to say, because you can see it's happening right now, your hexagons are not going to lay flat, and that's how they're supposed to be. They are going to get all bunched up, and that's how they are. But when it comes to folding them, once you fold them, they are going to lay flat. So don't worry about it looking like this at the minute, okay? So I'm going to add a few more rounds. I'm going to do maybe 3 or 4 more rounds, and I'm going to come straight back to you. For you, it's just going to be a split second. But I'm going to come back to you, and I'm going to show you how we're going to fold and how we're going to measure the hexagon to get to the size that you are making. Okay? So, yeah. I'm now going to add a few more rounds. So, I'll meet you back here in a bit. Right, I've added a few more rounds to both of my hexagons. As you can see, they're not sitting flat. That's absolutely fine. That's what they're supposed to look like. So what I'm going to show you is how you're going to measure your hexagon to get to the size that you're making. So you're going to have to look in the description under the video. Remember, if you're using a phone, it's an upside down V that you need to click on at the bottom right under the video. If you're on the computer, you should see the description on there. Maybe you might have to click read more or something like that to bring it all up, but all the measurements are in there. So you need the finished width of half a hexagon. Now I'm doing size 4 to 5 and my measurement is 16 centimeters. Now it's going to be around that measurement because you might not get the exact amount of 16 centimeters, but as long as you are close to that measurement, then that's absolutely fine. Obviously we're using different yarns, we're using different hooks, so as long as you're close to that measurement, then that's all we need to worry about. I'm just going to push one of my hexagons away, and what we're going to do is we're going to take one hexagon and we're going to smooth out one side, or maybe half of it, smooth out half of it like that. That bit's going to be bunched, that's fine. Now we're going to take our tape measure and we're going to go from the centre right across to the middle of one side that's flat, and we're going to take that measurement. This is the measurement of half the, I can't get it out now, half of your hexagon measurement. Ooh, can't get my words out, look. So we're going from the centre. I need to get to 16 centimetres roughly for size 4 to 5. At the minute I'm at 9, so I've got a little way to go till I get to here. So I'm going to have to keep adding my rounds until this measurement reaches around about 16 centimetres for age 4 to 5. Okay, nice and simple. Yes. Now I'm going to quickly show you how you're going to fold the hexagons, because if you're doing them both at the same time like I am, it's nice to just fold them now and again and put them together and go, oh, that looks amazing. So nice and simple. Again, you're just going to take one side, get one side in your hand, and you're going to fold that one side in half like so, and then you're going to get your fingers and run it along each edge and line that edge up, and the same with this edge, and there we are. Now it's going out a bit because at the minute it's very small. The more you add, the straighter it becomes, okay? I'm going to do the same with the other side. Take one edge, fold that edge in half, run my fingers along each side here and line that up, and then just flatten it out. This one's going to face this way. There we go, look at that. Ooh, she's going to have such a gorgeous cardi, isn't she, my little girl? She's going to be so bright. She's going to love it. She's going to absolutely love it. She's wanted one for ages. They all my daughters want one. So I should imagine I'll be making a few of these. Literally 3. So yeah, that's how you're going to measure your hexagon, and that's how you're going to fold the hexagon. I will go through this again once I've reached my final measurement. I've also been weaving all my ends in on this side only. Left my little yarn tail in, and all my ends I've been weaving in on this side. So we're going to continue adding rounds until we reach, or until you reach the measurement of half a hexagon, the width of half a hexagon. Okay, so I'll meet you back here when you've got 2 hexagons that measure from the center to one side of the finished measurement of half a hexagon. Okay, so I'll see you back here soon. Right, I've got my 2 hexagons made up. Just going to go over again how we're going to measure them. So I'm making age 4 to 5. I need half of my hexagon to measure around about 16 centimetres. So we're going to flatten one side out as best as we can and go from the centre to the middle of one of the sides. I am just a tiny little bit under 16, just a really tiny little bit, so I'm happy with that. So what we're going to do now is the arm and shoulder seam. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold both of our hexagons into position. Now it doesn't matter how you seam. I'm going to show you how to do it with a single crochet. If you have a different preferred seaming method, go ahead and do that. It's absolutely fine. Now I'm going to do a single crochet on the right side of my cardigan, so it's like a different colour that pops out. But if you want your seam to be a bit more hidden, then you can do it on the wrong side. So if you wanted your seam to be a bit more hidden, you get your wrong side. I've still got mine, look, with my little yarn tail, where I've weaved all my ends in on this side only. So then what you would do is you'd fold your hexagon so that the wrong side is facing out. So what you do is you take one side and fold that in half so that your right sides are facing out. Look, there's my little tail from the centre. Run your fingers along one edge, lay it down and just smooth the rest out like so. Wrong side. Then you'll do the same with the other one. That's the wrong side. So I'm going to get one edge, fold it together. This one's the opposite way. So I'm going to run my fingers down there, lay it down and smooth it out. So this is for the people that want their seam to be hidden on the inside. Okay. So now what you will do is you will seam from here to here. Just wondering if you can see that on the screen. Okay, yes you can, that's fine. And then again here to here. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to have my seam as like a bit of a statement seam, and I'm going to have my right sides facing out. So I'm going to do it with a single crochet. If you want your seam to be hidden, I suggest you do it on the wrong side and you use the same colour that you have on the final round of your hexagon. So if I wanted my seam to be a bit more hidden, I would use a purple. You don't have to. I mean, you could use a different colour if you wish, but I would probably use a purple so you couldn't really see it. But I want my seam to be seen. So I'm going to have my right sides facing out, I am. So this is my right side. Grab any side, fold it like this because I want my right side to be out. Run my fingers along, smooth it out like so. Going to do exactly the same with this one. That's the wrong side. Let me turn it around so I've got my right side facing me. Grab any side, fold it in half so my right side is still facing outwards. This one's the opposite way round, so we're going to smooth out those two edges, lay it down. I mean, look at that. Oh my goodness, my little girl. Oh, she's going to love it. She's going to love it. And then my other girls are going to go, I want one. So yeah, right. So I'm going to put one to one side, but I'm going to keep them like this because I know that I have to seam this one and I have to seam this one here. And I know that they are both going to match together, because if I like get rid of that and seam it in a different manner, I could end up with like odd bits. So yeah, keep them together. I've just lost my hook. That's gone flying off the table. And we're just going to seam along this top edge. All I'm going to do is place a single crochet through each stitch, front and back, single crochet all the way down. And I'm going to use my lovely pink because that's my next colour of my rainbow. I'll just grab my hook because that's disappeared on me. Right, I'm going to put this one just to one side a little bit. Grab my yarn. Pick up my bit that I'm going to seam. I'm going to start from the centre and work my way down the arm. I've gone and picked up an awkward bit there. I've got all my blooming ends hanging out here on this bit. So you need to place the first stitch through the corner chain space, through the front and the back. Remember, there are so many different ways to seam something. If you have a different preferred method, do it. You haven't got to do the exact same thing as me. You know, if you want it to look a different way, do it. It is your garment, okay? It doesn't matter if you're not copying me exactly, okay? That's absolutely fine. I'm not going to be like, oh, no, I've done that right. I don't mind. As long as you are happy with it, that is the main thing. I think I say that in every single video. That should be my slogan. As long as you're happy, that's the main thing. Sorry. Right, let's crack on. So we're going to join these two bits together, front and back. Put a slip stitch in there first. Chain one. Place another single crochet in there. Right, and then we're going to go in the next stitch, front, each, and back, and do a single crochet. Again, next stitch, front and back. Make sure you're not missing any stitches. Just picked up an extra bit. Look, oh, isn't that annoying when that happens? Now I've got that little bit hanging out there. Never mind. Right, through the next stitch, front and back. Make sure you're not missing any stitches on the back, because I've done that quite a few times, and you get to the end and you're like, hang on, it's not lining up. So just keep going through both front and back with a single crochet. So simple. Single crochet all the way along. And because I'm doing mine on my outside with a different colour, it's given this little like statement seam, which I quite like that on these. I don't know why, I just do. Just keep going through the front and the back. Single crochets all the way across this one edge only. We're not going around anywhere else, just this one edge. So I'll meet you when we get to the end, okay? I'm going to keep going across and I'll meet you when we get to this end. Right, I'm right at the end and I'm going to place my last single crochet through the corner chain space of both the front and the back. And that's it. I'm going to fasten off. Going to come back up here and tighten this side up, and that is my seam. Love how my colours are falling on this. I usually start with my rainbow, like purple, and work my way out to pink, but I did it the opposite way and it just felt lovely. Look at that. Oh, so nice. So yeah, that's what my seam looks like from the outside, and I love it. I think it looks amazing. If it you want to see what it looks like from the inside, it looks like that. So that's why if you are doing your seam on the inside, I suggest that you use the same colour. Unless you like that, you know, it's up to you. It is completely up to you. So yeah, what we're going to do now is we're going to do the exact same thing for this side, but we're going to be starting this end. We're going to be starting at the bottom of the sleeve and coming to the centre. So I will meet you here when you have done exactly the same on this side as what you've just done on this side, but instead of starting from the centre and working out, you're going to start from the arm and work in. Okay? Right, we now have 2 shoulder seams and arm seams. Lovely jubblies. So the plan is now is we're going to add 1 infill row on the back on each side, because if not, it's going to be all bunched up. There's not going to be any room for the neck and it might be a little bit uncomfortable for whoever's wearing it. So we're just going to add just 1 row each side, and then we're going to do like a continuous join as you go in the middle, which is going to give us a little bit of space for the neck. Don't need too much because kids are only small, aren't they? So that is the next stage of what we're going to do. So let me just lift my chair up. Right, I'm just going to fold this over like this. Now we're going to be working on the back side only, just up this side and this side. Okay, so keep your pieces like this. I'm going to pick up my first one, which we're going to do this one first. My my last round, the stitches are currently with the wrong side facing me. So that means I'm going to be working from this side and going across. Now, if your stitches are the wrong side with here, you're just going to turn it over and you're going to work from the top, just to keep that uniform of where we've been turning our work, basically. If you don't want to do that and you want to do exactly what I'm doing because you think, oh, that's a bit easier, then just copy me. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so let me grab my yarn. So I'm going to be starting from this bottom corner on the back only, and we're just going to do 1 row straight up the top, and that's it. So I'm going to turn it so it's easier to work with. I'm going to go in this corner chain space with a slip stitch. I'm just going to move that one out. I'm going to keep that one there in that shape. I'm just going to move it out of the shot because sometimes it can make my screen go a bit blurry. The camera don't know where it's focusing. Right, we're going to chain 3 and we're going to place 1 more double crochet back in this corner chain space. Now we're going to skip over the next 3 and go in the gap with 3 double crochets. Nice and easy. Oh, keep repeating the same stitch pattern that we have been doing. We skip 3 doubles and go into the next gap with 3 doubles. Skip over the next 3 in the next gap with 3 double crochets. Just keep repeating the same stitch pattern that we've been doing all the way up the row, or up the side, up the edge, whatever you want to call it. 1 edge only. Oh goodness, what am I doing? Right, so I've got 3 doubles left, and then I've got what was my original corner of one of the hexagons, and that's where my seam is. Look, so we're going to place 2 double crochets in this last chain space before your seam. So just 2 double crochets, 1, 2, and that's it. I'm going to fasten off. There's that one. Then I'm going to grab my next piece. Now the reason I say is to keep them like this, because if you get them muddled up and you just grab a piece and you start working this edge, which is your front edge, instead of your back edge, you're going to end up with a piece that's all like this, and you're like, ah, yeah, no, that's not right. So it's always a good suggestion to keep your pieces how they're going to be laid out. So I now know that I've got to do this back edge on this side, but from this one I started at the bottom. This one I'm going to be starting from the top. Okay, so whatever bit you started on, whether you started on the top first, you're going to do the opposite for your second panel. Okay, your second hexagon, you start at the opposite end and work on the same side so that your stitches are both facing the same way. Mine are forward facing at the moment. So I went in the bottom edge for my first one. I'm going in the top for my second one. Exactly the same as what we've just done. Going in this corner chain space here just before my seam, because I'm starting at the opposite end of what I did before. Joining in with a slip stitch, chain 2, 3, chain 3, don't chain 2, chain 3, and just place 1 more double crochet back in that same space. And now we're going to do 3 double crochets in the next space, skipping over 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets in the next space, exactly the same as what you've just been doing. So I'm going to meet you back here when we get to the end of this row. Right, I'm right at the end. I've got 3 double crochets left and a corner chain space. I'm just going to put 2 double crochets in that corner chain space. We're not doing 3 at the ends, we're just doing 2. That's that. Fasten off. Oh, throwing my scissors about. Tighten this one. And there we go, we've got 2 back infill rows. Now next what we're going to do is going to be a continuous, or not continuous, join as you go seam just down the middle. I'm going to change my colour. I've not got my second colour ready, so I'm just going to have to pause my video, and then once I set that up I'll be straight back. Right, now we're going to join our 2 pieces together. So what we need to do is have the back side facing us, not the front. So let's flip it round. So we've now got our back pieces facing us. And what we're going to do is literally grab them and just do a little twist like this. So they're now on the side. Has that shown up okay? Let me just check. Are we in okay? Yes, you can see that. Lovely jubblies. Okay, so what we're going to do now is a join as you go method. So this piece at the bottom I'm going to be calling the front panel, and this piece at the back, well over this side, I'm going to be calling the back panel. Okay, so we're going to be working in the front, then coming to the back, then to the front, then to the back, front, back, blah, 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 all the way up. So get your yarn. And you have all got 2 double crochets here right at the beginning. So what we're going to do, we're not actually going to go in the stitch at the top, we're going to go straight through the middle of these 2 double crochets, right through the center of the DC bars, as I like to call them, double crochet bars. So we're going to go straight in there with a slip stitch. This is on the front panel only. We're going to chain 3 and we're going to pick up the back panel and we're going to go through the exact same part through the bars on the back panel with a slip stitch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drop the back panel and come to the front. We're going to go straight in this first gap here with 3 double crochets. Now we're going to drop the front panel and we're going to come to the back, and then the first gap on the back panel we're going to do a slip stitch. Now we're going to drop the back panel, come back to the front, skip over the next 3 double crochets, and in the front panel only do 3 double crochets in this gap here, the next gap. Again, drop your front panel and come to the back. In the next gap, you're going to skip over the next 3 double crochets and go in the next gap on the back panel only with a slip stitch. And we're going to keep repeating this same thing. Drop the back panel, come to the front, skip the next 3 double crochets and go in the next gap with 3 double crochets. Oh, just done that twice there because I'm trying to hold it up a bit so you can see it. Right, and then we're going to drop the back panel, skip the next 3 double crochets from the back panel and go in the next gap with a slip stitch. Drop the back one, come to the front, skip the next 3 and go in the next gap with a 3 double crochets. Drop your front panel, come to the back one, get on the next gap with a slip stitch. Drop your back panel and to the front one where you're going to skip the next 3 and go in the next gap with 3 double crochets. So on your front panel you're always going to put 3 double crochets in every gap, and once you've done that you're going to go to your back panel and do a slip stitch in the gap, and just keep repeating that whole process all the way up the back of the garment. Skipping 3, I'm on my back panel now, so I'm going to do a slip stitch, come back to the front, do 3 double crochets in the next gap, come to the back panel, do a slip stitch, front panel, 3 double crochets, and doing this join as well helps to widen the neck. Just keep doing that all the way up, going from back to the front, 3 doubles on the front, slip stitch on the back. Getting close to the end of my row here. 3 doubles in the front, slip stitch in the back. So I've got 1 gap left where I'm going to do my 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3, and then slip stitch in that gap on the last one on the back panel, and then at the front we've got the 2 doubles again, So we're going to finish it by going in the front panel only, in between the 2 double crochet bars. And I'm going to do a double crochet, just 1 double crochet. And then I'm going to get my back panel in the same bit. Got those 2 double crochets. I'm going to go in between the bars with a slip stitch. Snip that off. Come back to the beginning and tighten. Where are we? I don't even know where we are. Look at that. Lovely jubblies. Tighten this one up a bit. And there you have it. Got a few ends to weave in. But yeah. 2 pieces joined together. Lovely. And then now that they've got a little bit here for the neck. It all stretches out a bit as well once you're wearing it, I find. But yeah, I'm very, very happy with how this is looking. So yeah, very good. Next section is going to be sleeves. I'm just going to weave in my ends though first because I just can't deal with them hanging there. So see you soon. Right then, it's now time to start working on our sleeves. Which is quite good about the Hexagon cardigan is that we've already got a bit done. Well, hey, always good, because you know what happens when you get on the sleeves. They either go really quick or they take absolutely ages. And we like to call that Sleeve Island. We always get stranded on Sleeve Island. It's not a fun place to be, but it does happen a lot, doesn't it? Well, it does for me anyway. But we shouldn't be too bad. You know, we're making a kids one. Shouldn't be too bad. So, oh goodness, the dog started barking. We've also got roadworks going on right outside my house. So I do apologise if you hear a bit of drilling. Right, so what we're going to do is you're now going to need to find the measurement for the sleeve. If you want to put a cuff on it, there is also a measurement for that. If you don't want to put a cuff on it and you want to just do a full length sleeve, I have the measurement for that too. I'm putting a cuff on this one because I do like a cuff. So I'm doing age 4 to 5. The measurement that I need to work towards is 24.5, which is where I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to add my cuff until I reach the full length measurement. Okay, so I know that might be a bit much to take in. Don't worry, because we're all going to go through it together as usual. So here's my sleeve so far. What we're going to do is measure from the underarm. So I'm about 15 and a half, 16, no, not definitely not 16, 15 and a half centimetres. And I need to get to 24.5 roughly. So I've got about 9 centimetres to add to each sleeve. So I'm going to take my colour. I'm going to turn my work around a bit. Get my next colour, which is pink. Oh, I think the builders are just gone. Or the workmen, not the builders. Jolly good. Thought I was going to start drilling right outside the window. Right, so we're going to take our sleeve and we've got the seam going down the front. We're not going to join our yarn here. I always like to join my yarn in line with the underarm so that it's like on the bottom, well, kind of hidden a bit more. Don't know why. I mean, you could join it wherever you want, basically, but it's just my personal preference. I like to join it in the underarm. So I'm going to find the closest bit, which is about either one of these two. I'm going to go in this one. So we're going to go straight in the gap. Sorry, my voice has gone a bit funny as well. I've not got a cold or anything, but my voice has just went a bit croaky. I was like, ah, great. Got digging outside. My voice has gone funny. Right, we're going to join in our yarn with a slip stitch and chain 3. And then place 2 double crochets back in that same gap. And then nice and easy, we're going to skip over 3 doubles and go in the next gap with 3 doubles. And keep repeating the same thing that we've been doing, skipping 3 doubles, going in the gap with 3. Keep doing this all the way up until we reach our seam at the top. So we're just doing the same stitch pattern again that we've been doing all the way throughout. Right, I'm now up to my seam. So we've got a chain either side of the seam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the first, this was like the original corner chain space of one of the hexagons. Then you got your seam, then you've got another corner chain space. We're just going to go in that first one, the first corner chain space with 3 double crochets. And then we're just going to skip over our seam and we're going to place 3 in this one as well, in the space right after the seam. And then we're going to go back round, keep doing the same thing, skipping 3 doubles, going in the next gap with 3 doubles. I'm just going to do that. Oh, hang on, that one's gone a bit funny. We're going to keep doing that until we reach the beginning of the round. Oh, I've just done exactly the same thing again. What am I doing? Let's try again. Oh, I've done it again. What on earth is going on this morning? Do I need to go back to bed? Maybe I should just slow down, look. Slow down. Don't have to rush. Maybe it's my hook. Maybe my hook needs replacing. I've got to be honest, I have had this hook for possibly coming up for 2 years. I mean, yeah, maybe I should treat myself and get another one. It's probably a good idea. I do love this hook. It is getting a bit squeaky as well. I know I keep mentioning that on my other videos. I don't think you can hear it on the videos, but I can hear it. It's quite annoying, having a squeaky hook. Right, so I'm back to the beginning of the round. I've got 3 double crochets left to skip over, and we're just going to put a slip stitch in the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round. Nice and easy. Wiggle that in there, do a slip stitch, done. So if you're sticking with the same colour, all you're going to do is chain 3, and then you're going to turn, and then you're going to place 2 doubles in that gap like so, and then you're just going to keep going around in every single gap doing 3 double crochets. Nice and easy, but I like to give myself loads of ends, as you already know, but it is worth it. I'm going to be changing colour every single round. This is why I get stranded on Sleeve Island for so long, because I like to change colour every round, but it does look really good. It is worth the effort. It really is. Right, so I'm going to fasten off. I'll do one more round with you, because after we've done this round, I mean, well, this round is super simple. We haven't got no seams to skip over. We're literally just going to be placing 3 doubles in every single gap. Right, where's my next colour? Orange I need. Just plonk this in my wool genie. Lovely, wool genie. I've got a link for this actually, but I think it's UK only. That's the only thing. It's for Amazon. It's in my about section on my YouTube channel. Right, so my last round is facing me. I'm going to turn my work. We're going to keep turning after every round when we're adding length to our sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to go back in that same gap where I've just finished, so that all stays like on the underarm. Join it in with a slip stitch, chain 3, and then place 2 double crochets back in that same gap. And then all we're going to do is keep skipping 3 double, oh my voice is going, I told you, didn't I? Sorry. Keep skipping 3 double crochets, and then we're going to go in the next gap with 3 double crochets. Luckily, this recording section isn't too long, and then I can just crack on with adding the length to both my sleeves and rest my voice, my poly voice. Okay, so we're skipping over 3 again, going in the next gap with 3 double crochets, and just doing that same process all the way around. Keep skipping 3, adding 3 in the gap. Skip 3, add 3 in the next gap. So simple. You can stick on your favourite show on Netflix or something while you're doing this. That's what I love about these hexagon cardigans. I think I said it in my other one. It's just once you get into the swing of it, you can just chill out on the sofa. You haven't got to overthink anything. You're just doing the same stitch all the way around. You haven't got to concentrate on getting it in the top of the stitch because you're going in gaps. The only thing you've got to concentrate on is adding 3 doubles in every gap, because now and again I do add 2 and I'm like, no. So yeah. But never mind. After I've just done that same thing again, I really think I should need to treat myself to a new hook, because I keep getting a bit caught up here. Right, going all the way around. My voice sounded a bit funny then, didn't it? Right. Oh dear. Don't know what's going on there. Don't think I did much talking yesterday compared to usual. Right, I'm now going in my last gap, which has left me with 3 doubles, and then all I've got to do now is slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 to join. Again, if you're keeping with the same colour, just chain 3, turn your work, and place 2 double crochets back in this same gap. Okay, but I'm obviously changing colour every round, so I'm going to fasten off again. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it on the camera, but what I will do, let me just tighten up my orange. I like to tighten up from the beginning as well, is I'm now going to poke my pink end through, and I'm just going to crack on and weave in these 2 pink ends, and then when I do my next round I'm going to weave in my 2 orange ends, and that's how I do it. Weave as you go, otherwise you're going to end up with loads of blooming ends everywhere if you're changing colour like I am, and then you don't even notice. You literally, you fasten off, you go straight for your needle, you weave them in, then you pick up and you go for your next colour. Like, it just becomes part of your routine if you do it like as much as what I do. I just can't deal with the ends. You know this. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you know this if you've watched my other tutorials. I should stop talking about the ends and the grief they give me. Right, so I know I've definitely not there yet, but just a little reminder, we're going to keep adding rounds to your sleeves, because you're going to do exactly the same for this side as well, until you reach the measurement that you're aiming for the size you're making, whether you're going with a cuff, no cuff. How much has that added on for me? Oh, I'm nearly 17 centimetres. So I've got to get to 24.5 for age 4 to 5. That is what it says. Yep, that's fine. Lovely. So I'll meet you back here when you've done both sleeves. Added length to both of your sleeves, okay? And then I'll be doing the cuff section. So if you've decided not to add a cuff, I do apologise, but I do need to just run through the cuff section, okay? But it won't take too long. Right. See you back here again very, very soon. Okay, I've been busy working up both my sleeves, and I do believe I'm now ready for the cuff. So I'm making 4 to 5, and it says if I want to add a cuff, I should stop around 24.5 centimetres. and I'm literally at that exact measurement, which makes a change for me. Don't worry if you're not on the exact measurement, because we're all using different stitches. Oh, not different stitches, different yarns and different hooks. So you might, as long as you like are close to that measurement, that's absolutely fine. So if you decided you didn't want to do a cuff, you can either keep doing your granny stitch clusters until you reach, if I was doing a 4 to 5, it says 27.5 centimeters. So you could just snip it off and leave it as it is. Or if you want to, you can do a round of single crochet to finish it off, or double crochet or half double crochet, or whatever crochet you want. You're the one that's making it, you finish it how you like. But obviously I'm doing the cuff, so if you're not doing a cuff, I do apologise. Just give me a couple of minutes just to run through this, and then we'll all move on to the next section together. Right, for the cuff, we're going to be working on the right side only from now on. So you won't be turning your work anymore after each round. So what we're going to do is a decrease round of single crochets. Now, how many decreases you put in is entirely up to you. Now you can do what I've done and copy me and see how it is. And if you think, oh, I need to add a few more, then you can go back and change it so it's right for you. What I'm going to be doing is a single crochet, 2 together. One single crochet, 2 together. Right, where are we? Right, I'm going to go in my first stitch with the sleeve right side facing me. With a slip stitch, chain 1 and place a single crochet back into that same space. Oh no, hang on, I've gone through my other bit. Move that out the way, get that little yarn tail out the way. Right, single crochet back into the same stitch. Now for the next 2, I'm going to do a single crochet 2 together. So I need to go through my next stitch and draw up a loop, which has now given me 2 loops on my hook. I've now got to go through the next stitch, do exactly the same thing, draw up a loop, which has given me 3 loops on my hook. And now I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that is a single crochet 2 together. So my next stitch is just a single crochet. And then my next one is single crochet 2 together. So go in the first stitch and draw up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, go through the next stitch, draw up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through all 3 loops. My next stitch is a single crochet. The next one is single crochet 2 together, go through, draw up a loop to have 2 loops on the hook, go through the next stitch, draw up another loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. I'm just going to keep repeating this all the way around. 1 single crochet, 2 together. 1 single crochet, 2 together. 1 single crochet, 2 together. Now if you do this and you look at it and you think that's too tight, that's not good, then what you need to do is undo it, and then you could try doing 2 single crochets, 2 together, 2 single crochets, 2 together, or 3 single crochets, 2 together, 3 single crochets, 2 together. Okay, there's no wrong or right way. It's all personal preference as to how small you want the cuff to be. What size you're making comes into play as well. I'm doing 1 single crochet, 2 together. 1 single crochet, 2 together. Keep doing this all the way around. And it's going to draw in the sleeve, ready for the cuff. Oh look, I'm right at the end. I want to talk to you about being at the end actually, because this round needs to end on an even number. So mine actually is, I'm going to single crochet 2 together, and that's going to leave me with an even stitch count. Now if I got here and I had 1 stitch left, and if I placed a stitch in there and it made my round an odd number, what I would do is totally skip over that stitch, because we're doing a decrease round anyway. So pretend that stitch isn't even there and just go straight in and join it with a slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet, because in order to make a nice neat ribbing, you do need this round to end on an even number. Okay, but mine has fallen so that it does end on an even number, because I'm ending with my single crochet 2 together. So then you're going to join with a slip stitch, making sure that your round finishes on an even number. Right, what we're going to do now, I've got odds and ends. Go, get in there, look, get in there. So the next round is going to be a round of double crochets all the way around, being sure that you count them and that you have an even number. So oh sorry, I not even spoke about what I'm doing there. Let me undo that and I'll do it again. So you need to chain 3, and that classes as your first double crochet. So you've got to go in the next stitch. Don't go in the bottom, because right here is actually the chain 3. I can't get my words out right. So we need to go into the next stitch with a double crochet. And then another double crochet in every single stitch all the way around. No decreases on this round, just doing double crochets. Whoop. Just turn my sleeve. I'm getting a bit twisted. So yeah, just keep placing a double crochet in every single stitch. Being sure that you have an even number of double crochets. I've not even been counting mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to meet you right at the end before we join to the round with a slip stitch, okay? Because I need to double check I have got an even number. Okay, I've got 1 more stitch left to place in my double crochet round, but I've decided that I want to change colour and I would like to have blue ribbing. If you don't want to change colour, you're just going to place your double crochet in your final stitch and join to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round with a slip stitch, and then you're ready for the next round. But I'm going to change colour, so I'm just going to show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to start off the stitch with my green, and then I'm going to finish it with my new colour, which is blue. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go in my final stitch and start off the stitch by drawing up a loop and pulling through the first 2. Now I'm going to drop my green, that's done. I'm going to pick up my blue, I'm going to hook it over my hook, I'm going to put my finger on it to keep it steady, and I'm going to grab my working end of yarn, get my tension ready, and I'm going to pull this blue through the last 2 loops of my stitch, and that's it. And then I'm going to join it to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch, and there we are. I'm going to do a few stitches of the next round, and then I'm going to come back and just secure my ends. So we're going to do the ribbing now, which is nice and easy. It's just going to be a front post double crochet, back post double crochet, front post double crochet, back post double crochet, all the way around. If you've got a different ribbing that you want to use, go ahead and do it. That's absolutely fine. If you don't want to add ribbing and you just want to do rounded double crochets or rounded single crochets or half double crochets, do that. That's absolutely fine. Okay, but I'm going to show you how to do ribbing with the front post and the back post. I do tend to use this one quite a bit because you can add and take away rows so easily. So I'm going to chain 1, yarn over. I'm going to do a double crochet, but I'm not going to go into the stitch like we normally do. I'm going to go straight down through the front of this post right here. So I'm going to come in through the front and go straight through the back, and I'm going to do a double crochet. Now with the next post, I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to come in through the back of my work and go around the front of the post. I don't really know why that one's called the back post, because you kind of do end up going around the front, but you come in through the back basically, and then do a double crochet. So my next one is a front post where you go in through the front and around the back of the post. And a back post, you come in from the back end and go over the front of the post. So front post, going in through the front and around the back of the post. Back post, coming in the back and going around the front. You're going to keep alternating between those two. Front post, back post. Front post, back post. Front post, back post, all the way around. And that what that does is gives it a little ripple effect that you can see is now forming. So keep doing that all the way around. I've just got to turn my work. Front post, back post, all the way around. Oh, that double crochet went a bit haywire. Let's do that one again. Right, I'm coming up to the end, and your final stitch should be a back post double crochet. I tell you what, I've just noticed I haven't secured my blue, have I? Like I said, I was going to do a few rounds and come back and secure these little ends. I'm just going to do that quickly before I place my final stitch. I'm going to snip off my green from the previous round. Got a bit carried away, Len. I forgot to do it. Now, some people say just weave your ends in very well. I'm a bit like, oh, I don't know about that. I always secure it with a little knot just to be on the safe side. You don't even feel it. You don't notice it. Nice and tight. Nice secure. Right, where are we? I've got one more stitch to do. So your final stitch should be going through the back post double crochet. Oh, and then you join to the top of the first front post double crochet with a slip stitch. And that's round 1. We literally just repeat the same thing over and over again until you get to the measurement of the sleeve without a cuff, or if you've got your model there, try it on. That's the best thing to do, is to try it on. My daughter doesn't even know she's getting this still. It's been a surprise, so I'm so excited to give it to her. So for the next round, chain 1. We're going to do a double crochet. You've got to like kind of separate it a bit here because the first one's going to be a little bit bulky. So you've got to do a front post double crochet straight through there, and then a back post. We're going to be following the exact same pattern as we did on the previous round. So through the front post, the one that's sticking out forwards, that's a front post. Do a front post round there. And the one that's hiding behind a bit further back, that's the back post. So you do a back post around that one. Front post, back post. And then that lengthens the ribbing. Front post, back post. All the way around until you're happy with the length of the ribbing. Or use the measurements for the sleeve without a cuff now to work it to the average arm size of a child. But we all know that we're all different shapes and sizes, aren't we? Yes, there is an average, but some people might have longer arms or shorter arms. So yeah, if you have your model, that's always handy. Just keep doing front post, back post all the way around. Oh, oh, oh. Just get rid of these ends that are in the way. And then when you get to the end, join with a slip stitch to the first front post double crochet. And you can see the ribbing is starting to form. Mine looks crazy because I've changed colours, but that's okay because I like crazy. I like crazy a lot. I'm just going to measure mine and see where my sleeve is at. Just pull my yarn out a bit more. Right, where's my tape measure? So now I'm working towards the measurement without the cuff. And for age 4 to 5, it says around about 27.5 centimetres. I've gone a little bit over, but never mind, doesn't matter. I have gone a tiny little bit over. So I'm going to stop right there. And I have one sleeve. Very good, very good. And then what we're going to do is repeat the same thing for your second sleeve. I'm not going to go over it all again though, so you have to just rewind the video a few seconds back and repeat the same process. And then the next section is going to be adding length to the bottom. Or actually, the next section is going to be, if you don't want to add length, what to do. Basically, we'll get there in a minute. We'll get there in a minute. Let's just finish this other bit and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so we should now have 2 cuffs, if you did the cuffs, that is, anyway. So the next section is for people who are looking at the cardi and thinking, I'm happy with that, I'm ready to finish it, basically. So if you want to add extra length to your cardi, just hold your horses for a few minutes, just while I show everyone else who's pretty much done. They're happy with how it's looking, they just want to finish off the neckline. That's what I'm going to do next. And then after this, I'm going to show you how to add length. So if you want to add length, just ignore this little bit, just for a few minutes. Okay. So if you think, yes, I'm very happy with this, I want to finish it off, what we're going to do is you're going to turn your cardi upside down like this. So you've got the bottom at the top, basically. I'm going to work... I am going to, even though my last row of stitches are facing me, I'm still going to work with the front side facing me. Does that make right? I can't get my words out there. I'm going to be working with the right side facing me. I know normally I say follow the pattern of wrong side, right side, but I'm going to join in my neckline with the right side facing me. I mean, it's personal preference. There's no right or wrong way. If you want to keep turning your work and work from the inside first, that's fine. but I've just randomly decided I'm going to have it facing me, the right side facing me when I join in my first round. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from here, the top left corner, looking straight at it, okay? We're going to go straight in the corner chain space right here. Can you see it all right? Am I a bit high maybe? This one, right here. So we're going to join in with a slip stitch. We're basically going to do the granny stitch all the way around the cardi. Nice and easy. So you're going to chain your 3 and put 2 double crochets back into this corner chain space. And then you're going to skip over 3 double crochets and go in the next gap with your 3 double crochets. Keep doing that all the way around, same stitch pattern, 3 double crochets in every gap. Keep going all the way, in every gap, 3 double crochets. In every gap, as I keep saying, same stitch pattern as before, 3 double crochets, skip 3 double crochets. I'm going to keep doing this until we reach our little infill rows, I call them, on the back of the cardigan. Which I'm now coming up to. 3 double crochets in this gap, and then my next gap is the original corner chain space from the hexagon. So I'm going to go in there, and now you should have an infill row, as I call it, and the seam in the centre and one more infill row. So what we're going to do is I'm going to call this, even though I've called it an infill row, this is also going to be called a double crochet bar. I normally shorten it to a DC bar. So we're going to skip that DC bar and we're going to go around the DC bar of the seam. Okay, so the seam bar, DC bar, whatever. We're going to go in the center with the seam around that bar, just one bar with 3 double crochets. And then you're going to skip the next DC bar, and that will bring you straight back to the original corner chain space on one of the hexagons. Nice and easy. Oh, what have I done? Hang on, I'm going to do that because I got a bit funny there. So again, skipping 3 double crochets and going in the gap with 3 double crochets. We're literally going to do this all the way around the cardigan. Nice and easy. I'm going to work up to the next corner. Oh, and then I will pause the video because you don't need to see me doing the whole lot. We're literally doing skip 3DC, 3DC in next gap, skip 3DC, 3DC in next gap. The only thing that's a little bit different is when you get to the infill bars, but it's so easy. Like I've just shown you, you're literally just skipping one, going in the center seam bar with 3 double crochets, skipping the next DC bar, and you're straight back onto the normal stitch pattern, because you have to do the same thing again when you get to the neckline at the top. I'm coming up to my corner chain space. Right, I'm at the corner. We're going to be doing exactly the same as what you did when you was doing your hexagons, okay? So in the corner, you're doing your 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and you're going to keep going. I'm just going to show you where we are at. Where are we at right now? So I'm about to come around the neckline for mine. Can you see all that in the video? I think so, yeah. So I've done the bottom so far. I've made it to my corner and I've done 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets to get around the corner. I was going to keep going up, all the way up until I get to the top. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this little bit here. I'm going to put, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to do this bit and I'm going to stop when I get to the top seam. Okay, so I'll meet you up there. Right, I'm now at my top shoulder seam. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go in. You've got the 2 original corner chain spaces either side of this seam, just like when we did the sleeves. Okay, so we're just going to go in both those chain spaces basically. Go in the first one with your 3 double crochets, skip over that seam and just go straight into the next one, the next corner chain space with 3 double crochets, and that then brings us to the infill bars. So we're going to skip over that first infill bar, double crochet bar, DC bar, and we're going to go straight around the seam bar in the middle with 3 double crochets. Again, skipping over the next DC bar, and it brings us straight back to the 2 original corner chain spaces with this shoulder seam in the center. So go straight in the first corner chain space with 3 double crochets, skipping over that seam and going straight into the other corner chain space with 3 doubles. And I'm going to meet you back right near the end of the row because we're just going to continue the normal stitch pattern down here again. If you skip 3 doubles, 3 doubles in the next gap. Right, I'm now at the end and I've reached my last corner chain space, which has already got 3 double crochets in it. So I'm going to place 3 more double crochets in that same chain space, chain 2, and then I'm going to join it to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch. And there we have it. I've gone all the way around the entire cardigan. Basically, you can fit that in. Yep, that's fine. You can do that round as many times as you want. You could just do it the once. You could do it twice, 3 times. You could do a round of single crochet, a round of double crochet, half double crochet, add some buttons, add a zip, whatever. Do whatever you want. It's up to you. But yeah, I just want to show you how we do that. I am going to have to undo all of mine because I'm adding length. I've got to do the adding length section and I can't add the length of all this on here. So if you have just left it at this length, then well done. You're pretty much done. Unless you're going to add some embellishments or whatever. But yeah, well done. And thank you for sticking around this far. For the people that want to add length, that's now coming up, okay? See you soon. Right, this is the adding length section. Length section. That sounded a bit weird when I just said that. So the measurement I provided for adding length is around about a hip measurement, okay? I mean, you can use that as a guide or you can just add as much as you wish. So yeah, do whatever you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip the cardigan upside down. So we've got the bottom facing us, and we're just going to basically add some granny stitch rows right across the bottom until you're happy with the length or you reach the length that I have written down in the written description. So I'm just getting a bit blank with my what I'm saying at the moment. So I'm going to grab my yarn, like so, and I'm going to start in this top left corner chain space at the front and work my way across the back. Okay, so for row 1 of adding length, I'm going to join in this corner chain space with a slip stitch, chain 3. Now for row 1, we're going to have 2 doubles at the beginning. Your chain 3 is your first double. It's going to have 2 doubles at the beginning and 2 doubles at the end, 2 double crochets. Okay, so we're just going to place 1 double crochet back into that corner chain space, and now you're going to skip over the next 3 and you're going to do your normal stitch pattern. So you're going to skip over 3 doubles in the next gap, skip over 3 doubles in the next gap. We're going to keep doing this until we reach those back infill bars that we put in and the seam bar down the center. So keep doing your normal stitch pattern of 3 doubles in every gap, basically. Oops, I just come out of there. Right, I'm now coming up to my back infill rows that I added and the seam down the center. Right, so I've now reached where my original hexagon had a corner. So it's my chain 2 space, corner chain 2 space. I'm going to place 3 doubles in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to skip over this double crochet bar right here, and we're going to place 3 double crochets around the center seam bar, just the first one, not around a whole chunk in the gap, just around that first bar. Wiggle it out and put 3 double crochets around that. Skip over the next DC bar, and that brings you straight back to the original corner chain space of your hexagon. And then you're going to continue your normal stitch pattern of skipping 3 double crochets and 3 double crochets in the next gap. Nice and easy. Right, I'm now coming up to the next corner chain space. Right, so what we're going to do is skip over the next 3 double crochets, and in that corner chain space you're just going to put 2 double crochets, and that's row 1 done. You can change your yarn color. If I'm changing colour, you can change your yarn colour however you wish. If you're staying with the same colour, all you're going to do is chain 3, and then you're going to turn your work and you're ready for the next round. I'm changing my colour. I'm just going to do it with a slip stitch. Sometimes I change my colour by adding in the new colour at the end of my last stitch, but today I'm just going to do a slip stitch. Where's my scissors gone? There they are, they're hiding. Just come back to the beginning and tighten that up a bit. Just change my colour over to orange. If I can get it in. Ah. Okay, so next row. Get my yarn. So your first row had 2 double crochets each end. Your second row is going to have just 1 double crochet each end. So I'm going to turn already because I'm joining in with a slip stitch. I'm going to join my yarn in the first stitch with a slip stitch. Then we're going to chain 3, which is your first double. And then you've got 1 more double here, and then you've got a gap. So you're going to skip over that double crochet and go straight into the gap with 3 double crochets. Nice and easy. And then you're just going to continue the stitch pattern of skipping 3 doubles in the next gap. And you're going to do that all the way across until you reach your final gap. I was going to pause the video and I'll meet you right at the end of the row. I am right at the end of my row, row 2, and I've put 3 double crochets in my last gap, and that's left me with 1 double crochet and the chain 3 from the previous round. So we're going to skip over that double crochet and we're going to put 1 double crochet in the top of the chain 3 from the previous round. And that's row 2 done. So basically what you're going to be doing is repeating rows 1 and 2, 1 and 2 over again. Row 1 has got 2 double crochets each end. Row 2 has just got 1 double crochet each end. And I suggest, if you're adding length, to make sure you add an even number of rows, so that when we come to do the neckline, you're going to be able to evenly place your clusters all around the neckline. Your granny stitch again, all the way around the neckline. It just works out easier if you have an even number of rows that you've added. If you don't want to do that and you want to go rogue, then do that. I don't mind. I really don't mind. As long as you can squeeze them in, that's fine. No rules, as I always say. There are no rules. I think I might actually stop here for my length, but I am going to show you row 1 repeated again, what you're going to do if you're adding another row. So basically it's row 3, but you are literally repeating rows 1 and 2 over again. So you're going to chain 3, you will turn your work, you chain 3 classes as your first double, so you'll place another double crochet in the base of the chain 3, okay? And then what you've got now underneath, you have got a gap, but you're going to ignore that first gap right there because you're basically on top of that anyway. So you know what you're going to do is you're going to skip the next 3 doubles and go straight into the next gap with 3 double crochets. Nice and easy. Then you're going to keep doing that all the way across. 3 doubles in every single gap all the way across until you get to the end where you would have this gap here, and that leaves you with 3 doubles, a little tiny gap, and the chain 3 from the previous round. So you'll place your 3 doubles in this gap, and then you're going to skip over the next 3 doubles and place 2 double crochets in the top of the chain 3 from the previous round. And then you're going to turn your work and just repeat row 2 again. Keep repeating row 1, row 2, row 1, row 2. I can't say it now. Row 1, row 2, row 1, row 2. Nice and easy. I'm just going to undo that a little bit. And remember, try to end on an even number of rows. Let me just undo that and pull that loop up again. I'm going to show you how you're going to measure if you're using my length measurements that I've provided. Lay your piece out, lay your garment out. Can you see that okay? Yeah. And where you're going to measure is the back, okay? So you're going to measure from the top of the seam straight down. I'm at 28 centimetres. Now for age 4, which is what I'm doing, 4 to 5, it says about 30 centimetres is going to be about the hip measurement. But I know my daughter is quite short. She is, bless her. She's like the shortest one out of all of them. So I'm going to stop here. Now, if you're not sure, then keep working to the length I've provided. But if you know your model, then you might get an idea of like, yeah, I think I might stop now. Okay? But yeah, keep for the, but I can't get my words out, look. Keep repeating rows 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Row 1 has 2 doubles at the ends. Row 2 has 1 double at the end. Row 3 will have 2. Row 4 will have 1. If you want to see it in more detail, I add many more rows to the adult version. If you're thinking, oh, I don't quite know what she's talking about, pop the adult one on and I add a few more rows than what I'm doing here today. It's on there as well. The only thing that would be a bit different is going over the seam bar bit, but we've done that already on here, haven't we? So yeah, I am going to fasten off. Just turn this back upside down so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to fasten mine. I'm not going to fasten it up. I'm going to fasten it off with my hook loop. Like so. I'm going to weave in my ends and I'll meet you back here to do the neckline. And then we're done. Okay, we're now at the final part of the pattern. So what we're going to do is just add a row all the way around the neckline, or you can add as many a row around, add as many as you want. So what you're going to do is flip this upside down again, if it's still not upside down, like so. I'm going to grab my yarn. Right, I'm going to go in this top corner again. I'm going to wiggle my finger through here and get this seam bar or DC bar. It's not a seam bar. Get my DC bar and I'm going to pretend that that's like a corner chain space, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to join in with a slip stitch, chain 3, place 2 more double crochets around that bar. I'm going to come onto the bottom and I'm going to skip over 3 double crochets. I'm going to go in every single gap with 3 doubles, just like we have been doing before. Every single gap, 3 double crochets along the bottom. Oh, I'm just going to pause the video and I'm going to meet you when we get all the way around to the next corner. Okay, I've just gone basically all along the bottom length of my cardi, and I've now made it to the other corner where I've got 3 double crochets and this chain 3 from the previous round. We're going to use that gap there like it's a corner chain space. Okay, so we're going to skip over the 3 double crochets and then we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets back into that little gap there around that turning chain. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I've only got 2 rows, so I'm going to call this a DC bar. I'm going to skip over my DC bar, and that takes me straight to my corner chain space. But if you have added 4 rows, then you'll be skipping over a DC bar, and then you'll be going around the next DC bar with 3 double crochets. Then you will skip your next DC bar, and that should bring you to your original corner from the hexagon. Same as if you've got 6 rows. That's why I've suggested to make an even number of rows, so that we can evenly place granny stitches back down the side until we come up to the original stitch pattern of the hexagons. So for me, I've only added 2 extra rows, so I've only got 1 DC bar to skip over, and then that takes me into my original hexagon. So I'm going to skip over a DC bar, and I'm going to place 3 doubles in the next gap. And I'm back to my normal bit again, skipping over 3 and doing 3 in the next gap. Doing the same stitch pattern. I am now coming up around the front of my neckline. Oh, getting a bit thingy there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue placing 3 doubles in each gap, and I will meet you when we get to the shoulder seam. Okay? Right, I've now made it to my shoulder seam. It's going to be just like when you did the sleeves. You've got 2 gaps either side of the seam bar, and you're literally just going to be using those 2 gaps. Okay, so I'm skipping over the next 3 double crochets. That brings me into the first gap, which is an original corner from the granny hexagons that we made. So placing 3 double crochets in there, and then you're just going to skip over the seam bar and place 3 double crochets in the next gap. And this then brings us onto the infill rows on the back. So you're going to skip over the next DC bar, and you're going to go straight around the seam bar with 3 doubles. Skip over the next DC bar, and it brings you back to the shoulder seam. Go in that gap before the shoulder seam and place 3 double crochets. And then skip over your shoulder seam and go straight into the next gap with 3 double crochets. And now you're going to continue with your normal stitch pattern of skipping 3 doubles, placing 3 doubles in all of the gaps. So I'm now going to pause the video, and I'm going to meet you back at the end of the round. Right, I'm now onto the added length section, where I only added 2, so I've only got 1 DC bar to skip over. If you added 4, then you have a couple of DC bars to skip over and work into, just like you did on the other side. So I am skipping over this pink DC bar here, and that brings me to the final DC bar, which we are using as the corner chain space. It's already got 3 doubles on it, or 1 chain 3 and 2 doubles. So what I'm going to do is go around that same gap, that same bar, and place 3 double crochets. And then I'm going to chain 2 and join it to the top of the 3rd chain from the beginning of the round. Ha ha! Let's have a look at what's going on, shall we? Lovely jubblies. Okay, so I mean, you can do that round as many times as you wish, or you could do a round of single crochets, or a round of double crochets, half double crochets, add some buttons, add a zip, anything, add some pockets, do whatever you want with it. This is the basic structure though, and I'm done. I'm just going to do 1 round for mine. I'm going to fasten off, weave in some ends, and that's it, it's finished. You can have matching cardis with your little ones now, can't you? So thank you again, everybody, for sticking around. And again, if you've made any patterns from my tutorials, I am over on Instagram as craftandacuppa. Message me, tag me, whatever. I just love to see what you've made and all the colour combinations you've made as well. Show it off loud and proud, because I love to see it, and I think everyone else does too. So thank you everybody, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.